Hello everybody. So here I am again. So today, like I said yesterday, I am going to continue on the what I didn't know trip down this. And so today I am going to do a what I didn't know about labor and birth, like during birth, not after birth. That's going to be after. If I look over here a bunch of times, it's because I have a list right there so that I don't forget what I'm saying. So yeah, just excuse that. And I guess so. I have actually asked my friends online. I'm part of a mom group or a girl group. Not all of us are moms, but I asked the people who have given birth what they thought about things that they didn't know, because honestly I watched so many vlogs and stories and pregnancy updates and all this stuff that I kind of was expected for everything. There was only very, very little things that I didn't know. So I asked for help from my friends. So these actually are mostly ideas from them. So I'm just kind of going to explain it and not necessarily tell personal stories unless I need to. But yeah, okay. So let's get into this. Okay, so number one is that when you're pushing, actually before you push, they actually tell you when you are in labor that when you get to 10 centimeters, you are going to feel like you have to poop really badly. Which I personally actually don't think is necessarily exactly true. I feel like for me, it was more like there was just pressure there. Like it felt like more like when they do the exams and they push like down. It felt more like that, which is probably what it actually kind of is it's pushing down towards that way. A lot of people, most people are on their back too, in a bed when they get to this point, and so I think that doesn't really help. You know what I mean? It's like gravity. So, but it's true that when you are pushing, it's definitely kind of like a poop sensation pushing. Like you're just pushing with all your might just down there. And what you're really doing is you're really pushing the baby out, obviously. Not everybody poops on the table. I did not poop on the table with either birth, so it's not like you're actually doing that. But it's definitely the same sensation, and I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily know that you just push as hard as you can. Don't worry about it. A lot of people do poop on the table or bed or whatever you end up. I hate saying table. It's not really a table. Usually you're giving birth in a bed, but yeah, I don't feel bad about it, and they really don't care. But I don't have any personal experience with the pooping part, just the sensation. So yeah. Number two is that you can get friction burns from pushing. So sometimes, especially if you push really hard and the baby comes out really fast, you can get like a laceration. I actually got a laceration from Parker. Not a burn, more like a cut. In my experience, it was more like a cut that just wasn't bleeding. It was just like a my best guess, because she didn't show me, obviously, it was actually internal, but she was able to see it. My best guess was that it was like a road rash kind of thing. I don't know. But it wasn't quite a burn. I know that because it honestly didn't hurt. But you can get friction burns. You can get burns in there, and they, I'm sure, hurt really, really badly. I don't have any experience with that, but it's definitely something that can happen. The faster you push them out, the more crazy stuff happens also. So that's also something that might happen. Is just, yeah, all kinds of injuries down there. Not just tearing, not just getting cut if you need a episiotomy or anything. There's all sorts of things that can happen down there. Number three is that you bleed a lot. So I think people don't really think about this. I think I logically knew, but I didn't really know personally. I knew you bled. Obviously, you're gonna bleed, and I'm not talking about afterwards. I'm talking about during. There's gonna be blood. I know that because I know that the placenta is a big giant thing. But the thing is you bleed a lot. Like there is gushes of blood sometimes, and I've had it both ways. With Parker, I didn't barely bleed at all. Like I watched her come out. I had a mirror there, and I was able to see everything, and I didn't really see any blood. There was just like a couple drops here and there, maybe, until the placenta came out. With the girls, it was a whole other thing. There was blood everywhere. They were covered in blood when they came out. I was like bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. Like I said in my story, I hemorrhaged with them. But a normal amount of blood to lose during your delivery, I've heard, is half a liter. So it's like, I don't know, a quarter of a 2-liter Coke, But yeah, so it would be, I don't know, a lot more blood than you think. But you bleed a lot. Some people bleed more than others, but you can definitely bleed a lot. And it's definitely possible, especially if you have a C-section too. If you have a C-section, they expect you to lose a liter of blood. I lost 2 liters of blood with the twins. And I lost such a minimal amount with her, I don't even know how much it was. But yeah, you can bleed a lot. And they actually set you up with your IV. They put an IV in that's 18 gauge so that they can give you a blood transfusion if you need it, which is not something that they usually tell you, I think, but they did tell me with the twins because I asked. So yeah, that was the whole thing. And then number 4 is that you can have epidural issues. I think a lot of people know this logically. You kind of can just assume that anything can fail. There's a lot of labor vlogs and a lot of birth stories where people's epidural fails on one side or stops working or wears off or whatever. But I feel like going into it, you kind of just maybe assume because you hope that if you're getting the epidural, it's going to work well. But the truth is that I have had 2 horrible experiences, and I feel like a lot of other people have not necessarily horrible experiences, not necessarily experiences where they're saying they don't want to do it again or they wouldn't want it again. But I don't. I mean, I didn't even want either of the ones that I got. They were very situational. But definitely issues. There's issues with all kinds of things. And it's not going to be the way that you want it to be. And it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, even person to person. So one epidural from your first birth can be massively different from your second birth, and then those can both be different from your third birth or whatever. Every single one can be different depending on baby's positioning, the anesthesiologist who does it, just everything that's going on in there. And so, you might feel everything here and have numb legs, or you might be able to almost get up and move, you feel like, but the contractions won't feel like anything, which I think is the best, but I haven't experienced that. Or one side might not work, one section might not work. With the twins, it didn't work up here on the top part. They said because my uterus was so high, they just, it's like, obviously you can only go so high because your lungs are there also. They want your lungs to work. So, but yeah, you can have a lot of issues, face a lot of issues through epidural for sure. So that's something I think people don't really think about. Just, not that I'm saying people shouldn't get them. I'm so glad they exist for the people who need them and who want them, and for C-sections and everything. It's so good that they exist, but just be aware it might not be the experience you want it to be, and just be prepared to be able to kind of improvise in the moment, because I sure wasn't. Just gonna be honest. And then the last one which I think is the most special to me, because this is the one thing that I for sure did not know or think about until someone brought it up to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, same. You can get stuck at a certain amount of centimeters. I got stuck at 4 centimeters with the twins, which they told me was normal, and I was like, okay, and I was induced, so I believed it. And then I got induced again with Parker, and I got stuck at 5.5 centimeters for 30 hours. With the twins, I was stuck at 4 centimeters, but I think I was only stuck there for 7 hours. It wasn't massively anything. Basically, once I started opening up, I just opened up like a flower, and I was able to give birth to them within 24 hours. Whereas with Parker, I went in already 1 centimeter. Not very effaced, but still. They told me 20% effaced when I went in, 1 centimeter, and I was in labor for 47 hours. I was stuck at 5.5 centimeters for 30 of those hours. So, I did not know this can happen before I gave birth to the twins. And even after I gave birth to the twins, I assumed that was because I was first time delivery. It was twins. I was induced. I was 32 and 5. But apparently it can happen anytime. So, after watching multiple more labor and delivery vlogs and stories and talking to people in my group and seeing all that, I have realized it is not normal to be stuck at 5.5 centimeters for 30 hours. I don't care what they say. They try to be positive, they try to be optimistic, and I totally appreciate that. But the truth is that I was not progressing for a really long time. I wasn't progressing until I got my water broken. And then I started progressing, and it was slow. It was very, very slow. But, yeah, just know that you can get stuck at certain centimeters, and you gotta be prepared for that, because it is not true that your subsequent labors will be shorter. It is not true that you're gonna have your babies sooner. It's all very, very situational. Obviously, in my case, I had twins first, so I automatically was most likely going to have my next child later, gestational-wise. But everybody told me that I was going to, once I was in labor, even if I was induced, once everything got started, I would just skyrocket and have the baby. And that is not what happened. I feel like once I'm in active labor, it happens very quickly for me. And by very quickly, I mean a matter of a couple hours, few hours, not like 12 hours of active labor, you know what I mean? But yeah, you can absolutely get stuck at any centimeters apparently, because I heard a story about 8 centimeters, about 9 centimeters. Yeah, you can get stuck even right there. And yeah, so just be prepared for anything, I guess. So those are some things that nobody ever told me. I will still have a million kids if I can, if I could. And I absolutely love giving birth. It's my favorite part of the entire thing. As much of a wreck as labor and delivery has been for me both times, I would do either one of them over and over again because the experience is amazing. But just know, things aren't always flowers and butterflies. So, yeah, those are 5 things that nobody ever told me or other people who I know. And, yeah,